What if everything you believe about who you are, your values, your beliefs, your personality, was never truly yours to begin with? What if the version of you that walks through the world every day is nothing more than a carefully constructed mask, shaped by the expectations of others? From the moment we're born, we're molded, subtly, relentlessly, by parents, teachers, media, religion, and culture. We're taught what's good, what's right, and what's acceptable. And in that process, something deeper begins to die. Our authentic self. We learn to perform. We learn to please. We silence our desires, hide our impulses, and play the role we were assigned, without ever asking if it's who we truly are. This is the illusion of identity. We confuse the mask with the self. We measure our worth by how well we fit into the mold. But deep beneath that social costume lies a raw, unfiltered version of you, one that's been buried under layers of conditioning and fear. Nietzsche's philosophy forces us to confront this painful truth. Most people don't live as themselves. They live as who they were told to be. And that realization is terrifying, but it's also liberating. Because if who you think you are is merely a product of external forces, then you have the power to strip it away and rebuild something real, something that is yours. The question is, do you have the courage to face who you might have been all along? You didn't choose who you are. You were programmed. It's a brutal realization, but an honest one. From childhood, you were shaped like clay, sculpted by the hands of society long before you had a voice of your own. You were praised when you followed the rules, punished when you didn't. You learned that approval meant safety and rejection meant pain. So you adapted. You played nice. You followed the script. You buried your instincts, censored your thoughts, and trimmed your spirit to fit the narrow mold the world handed you. You became what others needed you to be, not who you truly are. This is not identity. It's conditioning. It's survival in a system that rewards obedience and punishes authenticity. Nietzsche saw this with piercing clarity. He warned us that most people live mechanical lives, repeating inherited patterns without ever asking, is this truly me? And here's the heartbreaking part. Many will go their entire lives without ever questioning it. They'll die as characters in a story they didn't write. But if you feel the discomfort, if something inside you whispers that there's more, it means a deeper self is trying to wake up. That ache you feel isn't weakness. It's your buried self resisting the cage it was trained to accept. And once you recognize this, you can begin the most powerful act of all, unlearning. Because before you can become who you were meant to be, you must first dismantle the person you were taught to be. We're told that peace of mind is the ultimate goal, that harmony means health, that calm means we're doing something right. But what if that's a lie? What if the storm inside you isn't a sign that something's broken, but proof that something powerful is awakening? The truth is, growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from friction, from the raw, painful clash between who you are and who you're capable of becoming. That inner tension you feel, the part of you that wants to break free, that longs for more, that rebels against the routine, is not weakness. It's life. It's fire. And it's necessary. Nietzsche believed that true greatness doesn't come from eliminating conflict. It comes from embracing it, from learning to dance with the chaos within. You must have war in your soul before you can give birth to anything worth creating. Most people try to suppress this battle. They numb it with distractions, silence it with comfort, drown it in routine. But in doing so, they kill the very force that could transform them. Your inner conflict is not your enemy. It's your fuel. It's the tension that sharpens you, the resistance that strengthens you, the chaos that gives you form. You're not meant to be static. You're meant to evolve. And evolution is violent. It requires a tearing, a shedding, a burning away of everything false. So stop fearing the storm inside you. It's not there to destroy you. It's there to rebuild you. Transformation always comes at a price. And that price is destruction. Most people cling to who they've always been. Not because it brings them joy, but because it feels safe. They stay in broken identities, toxic relationships, and unfulfilling routines, not out of love, but out of fear. We mistake comfort for meaning. We confuse stability with purpose. But real growth requires rupture. It demands that we tear down the versions of ourselves that no longer serve us, even if those versions feel familiar, even if they once protected us. Nietzsche understood this truth deeply. He didn't speak of becoming better. He spoke of becoming new. And to become new, you must first destroy what is false. You are not a finished product. You are raw material. And like a sculptor staring at a block of marble, you must be willing to break pieces off. You must chip away at the lies, the masks, the identities you didn't choose but inherited. This is not easy. It hurts. It's terrifying to let go of the person you've been for years, even if that person was never truly you. But destruction is not death. It's rebirth. It's the sacred fire that clears space for something more honest, more powerful, more alive. The world will try to convince you to preserve your comfort. But comfort doesn't create greatness. Destruction does. The question is, are you brave enough to break what you've outgrown so you can build something real? We grow up believing that life has a built-in purpose, that meaning is something waiting out there for us to find. So we search. We chase careers, relationships, religions, traditions, anything that promises to tell us who we are and why we're here. But what if that's the greatest illusion of all? Nietzsche shattered that illusion when he declared, "God is dead." It wasn't just about religion. It was a warning. The old sources of meaning no longer hold power. There is no grand script, no cosmic purpose, no external force writing your destiny. And that realization is terrifying, because it leaves the responsibility entirely in your hands. But it's also the most liberating truth you will ever face. You are not here to find meaning. You are here to create it. Your life is not a pre-written story. It's a blank canvas, and you are the artist. The danger lies in waiting, hoping that something outside of you will make it all make sense. But once you realize that meaning comes from within, you become unstoppable. You stop living for validation. You stop chasing someone else's definition of success. You begin to live on your own terms. And yes, this kind of freedom is heavy. It demands courage. It demands ownership. But it also gives you power. Power to redefine your life, your values, your existence. The question is no longer, what is the meaning of life? The question is, what meaning will you choose to give it? There is no final version of you. No fixed identity. No finish line where you arrive fully formed. Nietzsche called us to something far more demanding and far more powerful. The path of the Übermensch, the one who rises above the herd, not to dominate others, but to overcome themselves again and again. This is not about perfection. It's about transcendence, about becoming something greater than what the world told you to be. The Übermensch does not accept meaning handed down from tradition, religion, or culture. He creates it. He dares to write his own values in a world obsessed with conformity. But this path is not paved with comfort. It's paved with fire. It demands constant rebirth. It means confronting your weaknesses, dismantling your illusions, and standing naked in the truth of who you are, not who you pretend to be. Most people will never walk this road. They'll choose safety over strength, obedience over truth, identity over transformation. But those who do, those who have the courage to stare into the abyss of their own soul, will discover a kind of power the world cannot touch, because once you realize you are the author of your life, the creator of your meaning, the sculptor of your own soul, you are no longer bound by what you were. You are free to become who you were meant to be. That is the journey of the Übermensch, not a destination, but an endless act of self-overcoming. The truth is, most people won't take this journey, not because they can't, but because they're afraid. Afraid of what they might lose, afraid of what they might discover, afraid that if they strip away the roles, the masks, the borrowed identities, there might be nothing left. So they choose comfort over courage, familiarity over freedom. They cling to false certainty, even if it means living a life that was never truly theirs. And who can blame them? The path of self-overcoming is brutal. It demands that you question everything you've been taught. Your values, your beliefs, your sense of self. It asks you to walk away from the story you've been told and write your own, knowing full well that no one will hand you a map. There are no guarantees here, no safety nets, just raw truth and the terrifying freedom that comes with it. That's why most people will stay asleep. They'll follow the script. They'll settle for approval, for routine, for the illusion of control. They'll live quiet lives inside invisible cages, never realizing that the door was open all along. But if you're still listening, if something deep inside you is stirring, then maybe you're not like most people. Maybe you're ready to burn the old script and carve your own path. Maybe you were never meant to fit in. You were meant to rise. The choice is yours. Stay in the dream, or wake up and become who you were always meant to be. The most dangerous illusion of all is the belief that you already know who you are. You wear your name, your job title, your background like a badge, as if that defines you. But what if none of it is truly you? What if you've mistaken your habits, fears, and borrowed beliefs for your identity? Society convinces you that you're a fixed being, neatly categorized and understood. But Nietzsche challenges that comfort. He asks, who are you when all the labels are stripped away? When there's no role to play, no identity to hide behind? What's left? That silence, that void, is where the real you begins. But most people never go there. They fear what they might find in that emptiness. So they fill it with distractions, titles, status, anything to avoid confronting the terrifying freedom of true self-discovery. But real transformation begins the moment you admit you don't fully know yourself. That's when the journey starts. That's when you stop performing and start becoming. Because you are not a product. You are a process. You are not a label. You are a becoming. And once you let go of the illusion, you can begin the radical, beautiful, painful task of becoming real. There is a cost to becoming real. A cost most people are not willing to pay. The moment you begin to peel back the layers of who you've been told to be, you will feel resistance, not just from the world around you, but from within your own mind. Your thoughts will fight you. Your ego will scream. Your old identity will cling to you like a second skin, begging you not to let go. That's because transformation isn't gentle. It's violent. It's the tearing away of everything false. The shattering of illusions that once felt safe. You will question everything, your beliefs, your relationships, even your sense of purpose. And in those moments, you will feel lost. But that feeling is not failure. It's a sign that you're finally waking up. Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in chaos, in uncertainty, in pain. And yet, it is through that pain that you begin to shed what is not truly yours. This is the crucible where the real you is forged. Not in ease, but in fire. Nietzsche understood this deeply. The path to becoming is not smooth. It is jagged, raw, and often lonely. But if you're willing to walk through it, to endure the unraveling, something extraordinary happens. You don't just survive the fire, you emerge reborn. Not as who you were expected to be, but as who you were always meant to become. Real, whole, unapologetically alive. In the end, it all comes down to a choice. A choice most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Will you stay in the illusion, or will you dare to step into your becoming? Will you keep playing the role you were assigned, repeating inherited patterns, chasing approval, and calling it life? Or will you take the terrifying leap into the unknown? The path of self-transformation, of radical truth, of freedom that no one can give you but yourself. Nietzsche knew that most people would choose comfort. And why wouldn't they? Comfort is safe. It's predictable. It lulls you into a quiet sleep where you don't have to face your own shadow, your buried desires, or the pain of becoming real. But comfort never leads to greatness. It never leads to power, purpose, or meaning. Transformation does. But it comes with a price: uncertainty, solitude, chaos, and pain. And yet, for those who are brave enough, that price is worth everything. Because once you've crossed the threshold, once you've tasted the truth of who you really are, there's no going back. You'll never again be content with playing small. You'll never again trade your soul for safety. You'll become something the world cannot define. Free, alive, dangerous in the best way possible. So the question is no longer, can you change? The real question is, will you choose to? The deeper message here isn't just philosophical, it's personal. You are not a finished product. You are a work in progress. Every belief you've held, every role you've played, every version of yourself you've performed, it can all be questioned, redefined, and rebuilt. That's not weakness, that's power. Nietzsche's greatest lesson is this: you are not here to conform. You're here to become. Becoming real means letting go of borrowed identities and daring to create a life that's yours, even when it's messy, painful, and uncertain. Yes, it will hurt. Yes, you'll lose people. But you'll gain something far greater: yourself. The world will always offer you comfort in exchange for your authenticity. But don't take the deal. Choose growth over safety. Choose truth over convenience. Most of all, choose to live intentionally, not by default. Because once you stop living someone else's story, you gain the freedom to write your own. And that's where everything changes. Not just how you see yourself, but how you show up in the world. So ask yourself today, not who am I supposed to be, but who am I willing to become?